everyone, welcome to Inside Rugby with Mark, and the game between Wales and South Africa has just finished at the Principality Stadium, and boy, what a game that was. Well, I've been saying it all year, haven't I, about South Africa's dominance in World Rugby at the moment and the brutality that we saw in that game. Now, I'm not going to go through an in-depth analysis in this video. I'm just going to give you my final whistle thoughts, and unfortunately in that last 90 seconds of the game, put a little bit of a dampener on it, but let's talk about all the good stuff first, because South Africa came out of the gates absolutely steaming in the first half, and we saw some really good tries, didn't we? In terms of them being able to control the ball, we saw Gerhard Steenenkamp go over for the first try for South Africa. We saw Sasha Feinberg and Ngomazulu in that rare form yet again, which is now becoming dominant form that we're seeing from him at number 10. But what I liked about the South African performance today was a number of things. First of all, we saw them control the ball and start to get the set piece. I said in my preview video, didn't I, that we would see South Africa grind away at this Welsh team in the first half and then put them to the slaughter in the second half, and that's exactly what happened. So it was no surprise to see 28 points to nil in the first half, and I think what Rassie would have been so happy with in that first half from South Africa would have been the fact that they kept Wales to no points. Even though on a couple of occasions when Wales did get the ball, I thought they looked quite creative and they looked like they were going to get into some open spaces. I liked what I saw from me on the wing. I thought he did a couple of good runs. Blair Murray at fullback is starting to grow on me. I think he's quite dangerous there for the Welsh team. And Dan Edwards, their new number 10, who's had 6 test matches now, is starting to grow into that role at number 10. But despite those glimpses of opportunities from Wales, it was all South Africa. It was just totally dominant across the field, starting off at the first scrum. And unfortunately, what we did see from South Africa in that first half was them pushing too soon in the scrum. So they gave away 3 free kicks in that early period, and that was just due to them knowing that they're dominant and just wanting to deal with Wales up front. And the referee caught them out on a couple of occasions. So that was the only, I guess, negative side for South Africa when it came to the scrums, because they were absolutely dominant. But what we were seeing across the park was that well-balanced performance yet again. This is not a team that just relies on the forwards in the game anymore. This is a team that can combine their dominance up front with the power and creativity they've got in the back line. Look at Keenan Moody, for instance. He even did an air shot at one stage during that first half, which put a bit of a smile on my face. But when things like that happen, you actually get to see how dominant the South African team is, because everything else they do is absolutely spot on. Esterhuizen was having a massive game in the early days of this game, and I just thought his energy level was extraordinary. He was getting in there and getting some steals and some turnovers as well. I don't know whether he was playing as a loose forward or a number 12 today, because he seemed to be all over the field. There's no doubt about it, Andre. So there's no doubt about it for me today. Esterhuizen was the man of the match for South Africa. He was just absolutely brilliant. And of course, we saw magic again from Sasha Feinberg and Ngomazulu, but it's when you put in the energy and combined effort for Esterhuizen, who went the whole 80 minutes today. It was a phenomenal performance, I thought, and he thoroughly deserved a man of the match performance. But across the park, there was good performances, of course. Gerhard Steenenkamp scoring his first try as a starter in the South African team. So that's one of the recognitions we need to give. Kobus Reinhardt came on when the 8 substitutions came on for South Africa in the 80th minute of the game. And Reinhardt was playing his 50th cap today, so congratulations on him. Seems like he's been around forever. He has, hasn't he? And he's only got to 50 caps, and we all know the reason why. But I think Kobus is playing some of the best rugby I've ever seen him play in a Springbok jersey. So phenomenal performance from him again today. But I thought Morné Vandenberg did a very good job when he was on. We did see him do a little couple of sniping runs that I mentioned in my preview video that I wanted to see from him. So that was really good. Sasha was brilliant outside of him. And in the centres, we did see Damien D'Orlando, who was playing in the 13 jersey today, do a lot of hit-up runs as well, turning the ball over really well for the South Africans. And I thought that's what they did brilliantly again today. Second, third, fourth phase plays being set up by their backs, then bringing their forwards in. Jasper Wiese again was brilliant. I'll tell you what, since he's come back from suspension, best number 8 in World Rugby, without a doubt, in my opinion. I think he's been playing exceptionally well. Jasper Wiesen, he just adds another dimension to the back three of the South African team. Sia Kolisi had another good game. He got substituted, of course, when we saw the, the nuclear squad come on towards the end of the game, or the last 20 minutes of the game. But when we saw the nuclear squad come on for the last 20 minutes, it was just biblical, the performance, I can tell you. From here, we saw Plumtree get a yellow card for Wales, so they were down to 14 men, and I can tell you, the last thing you want to do in the world is to play this Springboks team in this mood with 14 men. That's just not going to end very well. So from that time, we just saw the floodgates open. We saw try after try from the Springboks. I'll talk about them all in a more detailed analysis later on, but I wanted to give you my first wrap from the final whistle. I thought the Springboks did everything very, very well today. They controlled the play. Their set piece was very good. Their line out was dominant. I was counting the tackles for Wales, and in the first half, they were 3 or 4 times more than South Africa. So possession was good. Territory was good. Game management was good. They decided when to go for the kick for touch. They decided when to run the ball off the top of their set piece and the dominance of their set piece. They made very good decisions on whether to run the ball 1 or 2 out, set up the next phase of play and put pressure on the Welsh defence. And I've got to say, the Wales team did try significantly throughout this first half of this game. I thought things capitulated in the second half, particularly when they were down to 14 men. But I thought they were really trying to do a good effort in defence, and their more defence in particular. If it was a standout of any area of the Welsh game today, they did very good in the more defence. They turned over the ball a couple of times against a rampaging Springbok attack that was having a go at them at every opportunity. But it didn't matter if South Africa were going from a 5-metre line out, they were going to score a try. It didn't matter if they were 40 metres out and they had a scrum in the middle of the field. They had set-piece plays that were always going to put this Welsh defence under pressure. Damien Willemse, again, a brilliant game from him, looking dangerous out wide, sidestepping. Ethan Hooker, we saw him going for a try. He had a couple of really good runs on the wing, as did Kainan Moody when he wasn't trying to kick the ball. He was doing very well, Kainan Moody, but he also scored that good try where he was able to control the ball right through to the line. So an outstanding performance from South Africa. It really was the exclamation mark on their season, I thought. The biggest result against Wales, or the biggest defeat of Wales at home in the history of the Welsh Rugby Union, 73 points to 0. And as I said, Russie's smiley face would be all about the fact that Wales didn't score any points, and that was going to be an important factor of today's game. Remember what Wales did to the All Blacks last weekend? Yeah, they put on 20-plus points against the All Blacks, and I ripped the All Blacks apart for that because the defensive laps were not, highlighted as much because the All Blacks put on 50 points. But the Springboks put on 20 more points against Wales today than the All Blacks did, 20-plus more points. And on top of that, they kept Wales to 0 on the scoreboard. So this was a monumental performance from the South Africans, and I guess it really says to us all across World Rugby that South Africa is so far out in front at the moment with the depth and talent. Look at the number of players that weren't in this team that still can come on for South Africa. And then Rassie has the obligation, as he did in this particular game, to bring on 8 players at the same time with 20 minutes still to go in the game. This was a masterstroke again in terms of strategic and tactical play from the Springboks right across the park. Look, I've been absolutely thrilled to watch the Springboks this year. Even as an All Black supporter, I praise the performances that they're putting in. They're taking World Rugby to another level, and I think it's fantastic for the game. Today's performance was one of the best overall performances I've seen from the Springboks team. This was a team ranked number 1 in the world, playing the 12th ranked team in the world. We've got to remember that. Being ranked number 12 in the world, that's no discredit to Wales at all. There's some very good teams in World Rugby. But the gap of the level of performance between these two teams is absolutely significant. But if we put the Springboks up against some of the other teams that are in the top 10, we would see similar types of defeats, I believe, with the way that the Springboks team is playing. So now all of these players can have a rest from international rugby and they can regroup for the beginning of next year. Of course, we've got the Six Nations competition starting on the 5th of February. I'll be covering that here on Inside Rugby with Mark. No South Africans in that one, of course, but we will be talking a lot about the impact of those teams and whether or not they're starting to build significantly as they begin their 2026, because we've got the Nations Championship starting next year, and that's when we're going to see South Africa again up against the top teams in World Rugby. Will they catch up the other teams, and will they be able to take South Africa down next year? The Springboks, of course, have only lost 2 games this year, one against the Wallabies at Johannesburg at Ellis Park, the second against the All Blacks at Eden Park in New Zealand. And for the rest, they've been absolutely dominant, and their second half performances for me have been really stood out in a monumental way across the season. Now, just remember, we haven't got Andre Pollard in this team anymore, no Faf de Klerk, no Willie Leroux. There's a real changing of the guard in the Springboks team, and I think that's another thing that Rassi and his crew have done really well this year. They've managed that transition. We saw Zachary Paulton again in this game. Very, very good. Athanati was in here as well. Very good off the bench. The bench impact was significant. Quagga Smith was absolutely brilliant again. How many steals did he take when he came on the field, Quagga, in this game? Absolutely brilliant. And as I've been saying all year, we didn't see Arjie Schneeman today as well. And he's another one that I've been saying this year that him and Quagga Smith have been the best impact players off the bench in World Rugby, in my opinion. No question about it. So I thoroughly enjoyed watching this game today. I feel sorry for the Welsh fans and the Welsh team on this particular occasion. But let's face it, this is a runaway train we're watching in World Rugby at the moment. It doesn't get any better than the Springboks team and how they're playing the game. And I can tell you what, there's a lot of coaches and a lot of tacticians around the world scratching their heads right now on how they're going to try and beat the Springboks team in 2026. And that's something that's exciting from a fan perspective, isn't it? Now, as you all know, I cover international rugby here on my channel, and it doesn't mean because this was the last game of the year that content is going to stop. No, in fact, I'm going to start prepping up some more content. I'm going to do an in-depth review of all the major teams across the world so far this year. I've already done the All Blacks, so we've got a lot of the others to do still. I'm also going to interview some really interesting people on the channel between now and the Six Nations. And I've got a few other bits and pieces that I want to talk to you about certain players and certain positions across certain teams. So there's still a lot to talk about. So while you're on your Christmas holidays, make sure you still tune into Inside Rugby with Mark, because I'm going to be bringing you a whole lot of different content between now and the Six Nations. And don't forget, my other activity, I'm trying to change the world of rugby with you. Yes, the fans of the world. We started United Rugby Fans back in September. We've got a huge following now across the world. We've got a presence in over 26 countries. It's called United Rugby Fans. It's a global not-for-profit organisation. And what it's all about is to give you a greater voice as a rugby fan in the game of rugby. Yes, we're sick and tired of the old grumpy men wearing suits, running our game for us and telling us what we want to see and how the rules should be. We want the fans to have a bigger voice in the game. After all, we're the ones that pay the ticket prices. We're the ones that buy the subscriptions to online streaming to watch the games. We're the ones that spend our dollars on traveling across the world to watch rugby, buying merchandise and do all the other things. So we need to have a greater say in the game of rugby, and that's what United Rugby Fans is all about. So if you want to become a free member, just send me an email. The email address is on the screen right now. I will get back to you. We've got a great team we're building across the world, and we'll plug you into your local chapter so you can start talking to people and supporting us about the growth and sustainability of our great game of rugby. United Rugby Fans, it's for everyone, no one. Okay, well, there's my first thoughts after the game between the Springboks and Wales, another monumental win. I called it a brutal display, and that's exactly what it was. There was no forgiving from the South African team. And Wales, well, they're on the rebuild, so they're going to have to come back in the Six Nations now and try and recover from this and go forward with a young team that does have a little bit of prospects in there that I can see today on the field. So there you go. There's my immediate recap after this game. Now, make sure you come back by subscribing to the channel. Give this video a thumbs up and a like. I got it out as quickly as I possibly could. And I'm going to be bringing you plenty more content to talk about from the international season we've just seen this year. So until next time, keep well, keep safe, keep enjoying your rugby, whether you're watching domestic rugby or whatever it is across the world right now. Keep enjoying it, and I'll see you again really soon right here on Inside Rugby with Mark. Until then, it's time to say adios from beautiful Cancun in Mexico. Bye for now, everyone.